And we are live. All right. So welcome to the 3 on 3 podcast. I'm Jacob.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Chris.
And Aaron's going to give us a little bit of a rundown about what we're going to be talking about on today's episode.
Yeah, so basically the way that these episodes are going to go is that just like the title 3 on 3 goes, is three guys. We're all kind of settled around one mic. And we will talk about a variety of different topics. We'll try to keep it around 3 topics, but that's how every episode's going to go.
Yeah. And Chris, we're gonna start off with entertainment today, and I think Chris has some sort of topic, entertainment topic for us to talk about.
Yeah, probably the biggest news of this week, and after several years, The Big Bang Theory is finally ending.
It is.
That is true, yeah.
I could not be more excited.
I mean, yeah.
In some way, I'm kind of sad because you don't see sitcoms anymore, and this is like the last one.
That is true.
Well, you still got Modern Family, but I've watched Modern Family for a little bit, and it's kind of...
No, I mean like multicam style laugh track sitcoms, not like...
Yeah. Yeah, because
I don't know
Modern
how to
Family's
describe
done it a bit, not to use the same word, but in a bit more of a modern way.
Yeah. I mean like the typical laugh track that kind of show that's been around since at least the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is true. You don't see a whole lot of that anymore, which is kind of sad. Did you guys ever really like watch the show?
I think the only way I watched it was with my old roommate, and he had it on 24/7. So
I remember
technically, I watched a lot of it.
And it's not funny. I don't care. Come at me. I don't think it's a funny show.
I don't either. And there's a big thing that I struggled with this show was these guys. So like the whole thing is they're super smart and they work for a university. They are scientists, professional scientists. But they have to live together in an apartment and they spend all of their money on toys. And like being a person who's about to be graduated and like spending money on stuff, like I mainly want to get a nice house, and they have a job that they can get a nice house with.
They've been doing this show for over 10 years, so these guys are at least in their 40s, and they're still acting this way.
They're still acting this way. One guy is refusing to get any sort of physical, like kiss his girlfriend, hug his girlfriend, anything, and that's like an on-running gag. And watching the show with my mom, yeah, I watched it with my mom. I saw that little laughter. It was a boring high school career for me. I'd watch Dr. Phil and Big Bang Theory with my mom, and it was awesome.
Yeah, but I will say, TV shows aren't known for their take on logic exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I won't pull the card of they didn't follow everything real life, because no show ever does that.
Yeah, there's a lot of validity to that. But at the same time, I was just so ticked off. Like, it's one major flaw that these people are so highly paid, but they don't move out of their crappy little apartment.
Yeah, and there's like, 6 or 7 main cast members, and they're all there. Like, it worked for Friends, because they were, like, in one apartment, and then the rest were neighbors across the way.
Well,
But, like, this show I don't know how the rest of the show works, but it just feels like that's where they always are.
Yeah. But either way, it is, no matter any opinion on it, I do agree. I think it will be a loss because of what it is. Because many of the other large actual sitcoms have been canceled.
yeah.
Right? I mean,
it came from the same era as How I Met Your Mother. And that
Yeah, that's right.
I want to say 5 years ago.
Chris, why don't you tell us your take on How I Met Your Mother?
I
On the
loved
ending.
the whole show until the ending.
So,
Yeah.
spoiler.
It was such a good show. The last season was hyped up so much with Barney and Robin's wedding.
Spoiler alert.
It's been 5 years. If people haven't seen it by now, it's their fault.
Well, this is going on the internet, and it's a rule of the internet to say a spoiler.
You do
alert.
have to say spoiler.
I don't give a crap.
Chris, our resident bad boy.
Something like that.
I just clipped that audio signal really hard. I clipped it so bad on purpose. It was the meme. Speaking of memes, since we're branching off,
Jacob, our resident meme expert.
our resident meme expert and resident lampologist.
Lampologist, that is true.
It's a legit line of work, Mom. I am doing a good thing with my life.
Yeah, not music or anything.
Yeah. I'm not a musician. Screw those guys from making all the money, really. But I look at memes as an art form anymore, and the whole show, the whole Big Bang show, tried to go with like its own sort of memes.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bazinga was a big one.
Oof.
I remember that.
And I'm glad the show's ending because of Bazinga. I hated it. Every time they would say it, the laugh track would go off really loud. Biggest laugh track in the whole show was every time this scrawny little skeleton man said Bazinga. And I think
Well, I haven't seen the show recently. Does it still carry? Because I know it was heavily used in the beginning.
Probably has to, right?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure of what.
Well, because any clips they have of the more recent seasons don't have that. Which is
I don't
why
even
I
care
asked.
enough to watch those clips. But I think another part of that reason is the main actor who says that says that line. He wants to quit the show, which is why it's getting canceled.
That is true.
Hey, good on you, man. Good discernment skills.
In your 40s, realizing how crap your character is.
Oh. He probably won't hear this, but
Bet.
we'll send it to him.
Personally, via direct message on Twitter.
We'll put this on a disc. We will mail it to him.
VHS tape.
Autographed by some random person. We're like, hey.
It'll be autographed by Chris.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll have it done by Chris.
Yeah.
He's the one largely
But
saying
I'll sign
this.
it with Jacob's name, just for my safety.
Just FYI, Chris has some of the hardest criticisms, so that you'll catch on to that real fast.
And I'm glad he does, because I'm the type of person that when I watch a show or a movie, the whole objective is to turn my brain off for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Which is why I love Michael Bay's Transformers.
Yeah, except the last one.
Except the last one.
Now,
Hate it.
back to Big Bang Theory, I will say that it did its job for me. When I'd watch it, I'd just kind of melt into my couch, and there, the kind of laughing where you kind of like breathe hard out of your nose and nothing else, like you just kind of, like that. That's what that show did for me, and I really appreciated that.
All right, now sit and binge watch it for 12 seasons, and then see how that plays out for you.
See, the only show I can do that with is The Office. Yeah. But that's because the creators of The Office really cared about their show that they were making. And I'm not going to go on an Office rant because every other YouTube video in the world has done that.
And it would need its own dedicated episode.
That is true.
Yeah.
Same goes for shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or New Girl.
I've never seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
If you love The Office,
You'll
love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
In my opinion, it is phenomenal.
It's so good.
And it's interesting because I think it's a combination of the writing and cast.
Andy Samberg is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the tricks though is that for shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and even The Office, especially The Office, they moved forward in a way that they didn't necessarily use old jokes. They did sometimes, but they kept going forward with a plot and that sort of thing. I think that is the issue with, you could say sitcoms in general, but since we're talking about Big Bang Theory is that it held on to a lot of its content and didn't move it forward or just move on to a next thing. Yep. And some people love that, and if that works for you, great. I mean, honestly, that's awesome. But I think for other people who enjoy the moving forward of a show, I think it's tough to watch that. Yeah. Because it's just kind of the same thing.
And there was no real. So all right, talking about characters in that show, there were the four main guy characters. They each had their love interest, and I wouldn't say that it was the potted plant type of thing when it came to the female characters. Chris, if you could explain the potted plant kind of idea.
Yeah, so the potted plant idea is where if you can replace a female character with a potted plant and the plot still carries on the exact same way, then you have a badly written character.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say all of them are that way. Definitely, I think the Sheldon's girlfriend, there's a little bit of character growth, but the girlfriend of, I think, Sheldon's roommate, Leonard.
I don't know.
Yeah. She was good because she grew Leonard. She grew Leonard's character, and her character grew with Leonard. When you meet her, she's kind of this girl that sleeps around a lot, and Leonard's like the nerdy guy who just kind of wants to hook up with her. That's just the cold hard fact of what that whole character plot is there. And then in the end, they're getting married, and they're thinking about starting a family, and they're really starting to move on. But at the same time, out of all the characters, they were, to me, it felt like the characters were all stagnant, because when you get from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, Sheldon is still the annoying guy who says like bazinga and does factoids and stuff like that everybody like is the butt of everybody's joke. Leonard is still the nerdy guy who somehow is like crushing over the hot girl. There's a guy, the Indian guy, that Kuthapali is, he's still the shy nerd who only can use alcohol to talk to girls. And then the Howard or Howie guy, I think that's his name, Howard or Howie, the one who marries the girl Bernadette, is still like the creep nerd who like tries to go after all these girls. And it's the same from the first episode when you first meet them all the way to the end. Even though they've been through all this stuff together, it's like they really haven't been through anything.
Yeah, and I think just something to keep in mind with a show like this is that I'm sure even from the very beginning especially, you never know when it's going to end. And by end, I mean canceled. You never know if the network you're on is going to pull the plug or something like that.
Like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Fox.
Sure, exactly. So I'm sure some of the reasoning behind the lack of development in some characters isn't necessarily, I won't attribute that to just bad writing. I think it's also to the fact that you don't really know like if you're gonna have a chance to develop them. So I think I think we have to keep that in mind of, well, they probably didn't know how long they were gonna be on. Kind of like Supernatural. I mean, Supernatural was the same way. Like they expected to end.
Yeah, Supernatural was supposed to end at season 5.
Yeah.
But the fans demanded more, and now it's going on its 14th season.
14.
Yeah, so it's
14.
It's something like that where you have to eventually force some form of plot development, which I think has been done for good and bad on either side in Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I was over Big Bang Theory from the first episode, but I do know that it's probably time for us to move on to our next segment, and we talked a lot about Big Bang Theory just now.
more than I ever have in the time I've known about the show.
Listen, I can't believe how much we just talked about Big Bang Theory.
I almost hate myself now.
I need to take another shower.
I don't think as harshly as that. So I need to take a shower, but I don't. Not for that reason.
What? I'm the only one in this group that's been awake for some amount of time before we started this. I had to wake these other guys up. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
I'm an early bird. So let's talk about kind of like current events, like what's going on in the world. What have you guys heard or read recently? It doesn't have to be just this week, but anything recently that kind of tickled your fancy. Now let's try to stay away from politics, because I mean, you can bring it up, but let's. I'm not going to state my political beliefs because I just don't want to.
Yeah, not yet. This is episode 1.
Yeah, this is episode 1.
Maybe. I mean, I know this is going on the internet for like the whole world to allegedly see, but let's try to keep this local. Our school's president has announced this week that she's resigning after 12 years.
Yeah, I think that's with any school. That's harsh.
Yeah, when she announced it at chapel, I looked around, and everyone in our section had their eyes bulged and jaws dropped.
Well, that's because we're seniors, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I could have seen the freshmen from where I sit, I'm sure it would have been the exact opposite. They would have just been like, "Oh, okay, hardly knew her."
Yeah.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, for those who are tuning in, our school, we go to a private Christian institution, which is mostly why this show's so clean.
For now.
For now. We are graduating next year. Well, this year. But
This academic year.
this academic year. Yeah, in 2019, we'll be out of here. But,
Yeah, so you only get us for 1 year.
oh, yeah. But we go to chapel 3 times a week, and sometimes it's the most laborious thing ever. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes it's a nice break from the classes. Sometimes you really get to hear interesting takes on stuff. But in this particular one, it was the first chapel of the year. Everybody's excited. Everybody's doing great. All the professors are in their doctoral regalia. And then our president walks out and drops an absolute bomb that she's leaving, and nobody was expecting it.
I don't even think professors expected it.
Yeah.
No, none of the professors knew before that chapel. They say that probably the upper board, like the very close upper board, knew, and that was it. No one else was told that this was going to happen.
Sandra Gray is the upper board.
Exactly. But oh man, I don't know. For those of you, if you're listening, who don't go to Asbury, you will have, you may be in the situation where you have like a great president. And that's the same circumstance that we're in. Sandra Gray has done a wonderful job in managing and developing our university. Because before her, and I won't list names, but we had 1 or 2 presidents who were...
I don't even know their names.
I don't know who was president before.
Yeah, well...
No president matters.
Well, anyway, but they were not. They weren't very good, to put it that way. And she has kind of turned the table on that. She's done a really good job. However, it's been kind of talked about a lot by professors that it's this kind of like such an out of the blue thing that they don't. I mean, they're really searching right now of who to fill the role.
So this is a question I've had all week. Is Asbury gonna find somebody outside the school to fill in for a president position, or is somebody from within the administration gonna take over?
I feel like the way our school operates is that we will definitely find somebody within the school because we have a lot of good candidates. I don't know them all personally, but I'd say like the upper board at Asbury that's helped Sandra Gray along has a pretty good resume to be president. Now, the upper board might not trust themselves because essentially it is all up to the upper board at that point. So they might choose from their own. They might choose a really great professor. Personally, I'd love it if one of the music department heads, Vicky Bell, was president because she has perfect pitch, and that's the whole thing.
Is her pitch perfect?
Her pitch is perfect.
3?
Oh, stop.
Anyway.
Hold on. Quick side note. Just because she deserves this. Dr. Bell, one time, I have this class called Sight and Oral. I'm a music major here. Music major, worship arts major. It's fun. I had this class called Sight and Oral where basically you walk in, they're like, hey, sing the C major scale. And you're like, oh, okay. And you have to sing the C major scale. Or she'll play something on the piano and be like, what did I just play? And there was one time a lawnmower drove by the room and she goes, that's a diminished F sharp chord, and matched the pitch on a piano of a lawnmower. And that's why I believe she should be president of the United States. Honestly, I am all for that.
Bell 2020?
Bell 2020. Is she 35 though? Probably.
Yeah. Definitely at least 35. Yeah.
At least.
But But no, yeah. So back to the original topic. I think it's going to be interesting. I think they probably will find someone within the school to fill the role. At the very least, if not within the school right now, someone who has had a history here. Because that's the way it's been for the past few presidents, including Sandra Gray, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think that'll probably be the case. But whether that goes well or not is a whole other thing, which is one reason I'm kind of excited to be graduating at the same time that Sandra Gray's leaving, because
There are other reasons I'm excited to be graduating.
because that means that we don't have to catch the first year of a president, which could either go great, sure, or it could run itself into the ground, which would be very, very bad.
Well, with any sort of presidency, any sort of change that big, there's going to be small changes that the general public, in this case, speaking student-wise, is either well received or just not well received at all.
Yeah.
And that's always just within the first year, because within the second year, if that rule sticks, people get used to it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But if it doesn't, then that's when you need a change. But first year, new rules, new people, always there's gonna be a little bit of a struggle. So I'm definitely with you. I'm super excited to not have to deal with that.
Yeah, and I think just because of it as like a final note, it's interesting because I'm sure a lot of other presidents do this because this is one of their jobs. She really maintains the balance between how students are feeling on something and how professors and staff are feeling on something. Mm-hmm. Because on this campus anyway, that differs a lot, and it will get heated a lot as well. And Sandra Gray has been the mediator of that for 12 years.
Yeah.
And without that, I am a bit worried on how people are going to be reacting to things now without someone who so naturally cools an issue.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And that's a bit of local news. Now for the remainder, if you guys are listening to this in your car or just listening to it on your headphones, thanks for putting up with our...
Dang, I said my beep beep too late.
Thanks for putting up with our random rants. But
yeah, you probably don't care about what we have to say at all.
Yeah, but we appreciate you listening.
Or good background noise.
Hey, Mom, thanks for listening to my podcast. You might be the only one.
Thanks, Jacob's mom.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jacob's mom.
But thank you guys for listening. Now, we like to end out with kind of like a little bit of like humor, because the whole point of this podcast, Cod Past.
That's what we do here.
Yep. We catch cod from the river and we pass them to things. We don't paste them, we pass them.
Oh, jeez. Please, let's keep going.
Past is the past tense of paste. I'm so caught up on cod past right now.
You want to get some fish after this?
Dude, I definitely want some fish. I'm always down for some catfish, man. But
it's really good.
The point of this podcast is definitely to entertain, whether it's about some big entertainment news or about big local news. And I feel like the Sandra Gray Asbury thing is a lot bigger than just the Asbury campus. You know, Asbury's been around since 1800s, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like, shoot, that's a far-reaching thing when a president resigns. But we're definitely here to entertain, and we like to end with a little bit of like comedic anecdote, just by each of us telling a quick story from like the past few weeks in our lives, because we're all three friends, and it's always funny to hear the stories that we have when we come together. So that's kind of how we're gonna wrap it up. So Chris, you want to get us started?
I have nothing right now.
You have nothing.
That comes to the top of my mind.
Yeah, I think the tough thing is that this is the first week, so it's difficult to have stories. So as everyone who isn't a freshman in college knows, there are freshmen every year, obviously.
Really? I didn't know.
I know. It's really strange sometimes, but it does happen.
Does that happen in high school?
Yes, as well. It happens a lot of places, but I think the fun thing is seeing freshmen come in, especially if you're an upperclassman, aka a senior for us, because we get to see them do things. Not only that, yeah, I was about to say that we used to do. Like, I'm only 21. Chris is
22.
22.
I'm 21.
Jacob's 21. So, like, we're age-wise, we're not old, but I feel like an old man seeing freshmen because I'll see them, like...
The freshmen do make me feel superior.
Oh, yeah, like, they're running around, they're having friends, they're in their groups, they're like, hey, do you want to hang out till, like, 2 in the morning? Do you want, like, watching movies? And I'm thinking, well...
I want to be in bed by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
We're in bed by 10 o'clock, but we stay up late till like 3 a.m. watching horror stories on YouTube.
That definitely happens. It's an addiction. It's kind of a problem.
The deep web is real.
Yeah, this podcast is going on the deep web.
No,
Don't
it's
say
not.
that.
No, it's not. But
I'll be sure. You guys just won't know.
But it's also great not only seeing them have that energy, but seeing them do things that are wrong. In that, because it's the first week.
So many wrong
So, like,
things.
there are several buildings like campus, especially our dorms, that you have to swipe into
With an ID card.
With an ID card for security reasons and that sort of things. But that swipe deactivates. Like, you don't have to swipe into a building after, I think it's like 3 p.m.
Yeah, that's when our building unlocks.
Yeah, and it's great seeing guys, like freshman guys who live in our dorm, come in at like 8 or 9 p.m., fiddle to get out their card, swipe it, and walk in, and we just watch them. It takes a good 60 seconds.
And we're all desk workers in our building, so like we
just watch them come.
Yeah, we're able to manage.
Not in a creepy way. Not in a creepy way. That doesn't sound.
It's our job.
Yeah, like we have to.
But like he said, the doors are open for a certain amount of time, and
from 3 to midnight.
From 3 to midnight.
That's when they're unlocked.
Every day.
You don't need to swipe it.
But I also remember doing that. I asked this year at 3:09. I was like, "Do you think the dorms are open right now? Do you think I could walk in?" And some freshman was like, "Don't they always open at 3?" And I was like,
and you're like, "Freaking shut up!"
I figured that out when I was a freshman, though.
I did too, but I'm dumb.
I'm dumber.
I am smart. I'm not gonna. I will toot my horn.
Well, let's not throw around offensive words like smart here.
Yeah, we say smart. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
smartly challenged.
So I know there isn't exactly like a story attributed with that.
Smartly challenged.
However, I do think that's always a funny thing. Saying freshman, or in the case of life, the attribute or the equivalent of freshman, small children.
Yeah, I've got one. Before we wrap up,
cool.
Unless Chris has one after this.
No, you go ahead.
I'm not going to mention names. That's one thing I just don't want to do because
Not yet.
Not yet. I'm on a public platform as well. I'm a guitar player, and I just don't like to mention names. You know, it's too easy for me to get called out. But so there's this guy in this factory that I worked at. Yes. Yeah, I told you this story. He maybe not the best social skills. He was my age. Only other guy there that was my age. And the only other guy that wasn't a felon. Oh, that's mean to say. I'm sorry. But he was a super sweet guy. I actually did I loved him in like a little adorable way. Like I'd see him, I'd be like
the way you like Aaron.
Yeah. I love Aaron because he's adorable.
That's true. Like a teddy bear.
I would see this guy, and he had a real deep down low voice, and he had a real thick country accent, and I'd be like, "Hey man, you having fun today?" I'd like bump into him in the bathroom before the 7 a.m. shift started. I was like, "Hey man, you gonna have a fun day today?" He goes, "No." I'm like, "Oh man, it's never fun here, is it?" He goes, "No, but did you know it is fun?" I go, "What's fun, man?" He goes, "Riding the lawnmowers through the woods." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" It was one of those times where you had to kind of quietly muffle your laugh. And so this guy, he liked to talk a lot, and he would ask me random scenarios. So he'd be like, "Hey Jacob," I'd be like, "What's up, man?" He goes, and we're working right beside each other 8 hours a day doing the same task, and he'd go, "What would you do if you just looked over, and then when you looked over, you just seen just a big old anaconda?" And I'm like, "Oh, what?" He's like, just a big anaconda. I was like, and it's just looking at you. I was like, "What?" So I learned the only way to get him to stop with these things, because I'm not gonna lie to you, it got a little bit annoying, and I hate to think like that, like somebody was annoying me that much that I had to think of ways to get him to shut up. But it's kind of what happens sometimes, because it was an 8-hour job early in the morning, and he'd be like, "Hey Jacob," I'd be like, "What?" He goes, "What would you do if you went home and then you saw that this factory got hit by the mega fart?" I was like, "The what? The mega what?" He said, "The mega fart." And then the camera on the news pans over. It's a true story. He actually said this stuff. And then the camera pans over. And then the building was green with green smoke coming out of it. And then you just seen that it was me. And I was like, I don't know, man. I'd probably quit my job. It's what I'd always tell him. Like, I'd quit. I'd quit my job. And he would always, so every time he asked me, he'd be like, "Jacob, what would you do if you saw the anaconda?" I'd look at him like, I'd quit my job. I would quit right now. He's like, "You quit?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, okay." And I felt bad every time, but I still did it. So yeah, just your homework assignment, folks, is to think, what would you do if you just seen the big old anaconda? Think about that.
It's a wild time.
I'd probably quit my homework.
I mean, yeah.
Professor, my dog ate my homework. I mean, my anaconda.
My
ate
big
my
old
homework.
anaconda ate my
My
homework.
big hole anaconda.
You know what I'd do if I saw the big old anaconda? I'd probably quit this podcast.